Good evening and welcome to tonight's joint Town Council School Committee meeting here in Council Chambers. It is 6:30 p.m. And at this time we'll take a roll call, please.
Councilor Auclair? Present. Councilor Crosco?
Present.
Councilor Clements? Present. Councilor Estrada?
Present.
Councilor Manna? Present. Councilor Moriarty?
Present.
Councilor Steves?
Present.
Councilor Vandal?
Present.
Councilor Vecchia?
Present.
I also have a list of some of the school committee members here. I have Mr. Bishop?
Present.
Mrs. Congdon? Present. Mr. Jovan?
Present.
Mr. Lazo?
Present.
Mr. Olivo? Present. Mr. Page?
Present.
Okay.
Moving
9
on.
councilors and 6 school committee members.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 3, consider and accept the joint council school committee meeting minutes of Monday, July 20, 2015.
So move. Second.
Any questions, comments, clarifications? Seeing none, a simple hand vote is fine. All those in favor? Abstain? 1 abstention. Thank you. Agenda item number 4 is to review the 3 candidate requests to fill a school committee vacancy effective immediately through June 30, 2016 due to member resignation, and entertain a motion to vote to select a candidate to school committee to complete this term. The candidates are Amelia Peliquin, Dennis Martinek, and Enrique Sanchez.
So moved.
Second.
So at this time, what I'd like to do is one by one we can bring up the candidates to introduce themselves. We will just request that you keep your opening remarks to 5 minutes or less. So at this time, Councilor Peliquin. A former Councilor Peliquin, I'm sorry.
No, she's always a counselor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be here tonight to formally request your vote for the appointment for the open seat on the Southbridge School Committee. I've had the privilege of working with many of you for years, but for the few of you I've only met recently, I'd like to take a minute to tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm a 4th-generation Southbridge resident. I was born and raised in Southbridge, educated in the Southbridge school system. After graduating Southbridge High School in 1999, I earned a bachelor's degree from Smith College in Northampton. I've worked in the fields of educational technology, public libraries, and interactive media. I currently do freelance work as a web designer. I've been married for 8 years, and I have 2 young children who attend school within the Southbridge system. I recently completed a 3-year term on the town council, and I'm currently serving as a citizen member on the Planning and Development Subcommittee. As chairwoman of the council's EHS subcommittee last year, I saw an overwhelming amount of frustration with the lack of transparency in the school's FY16 budget process. This served to further disintegrate an already contentious relationship between the council and the school committee. In order to avoid this in the future, I intend to work closely with school committee members to increase transparency in our budgeting system. I believe the town council should be presented with a line item budget for the school system, just as they are with any other town department. Additionally, I would like to see the school committee provide quarterly budget updates to the council. The bottom line for me is the council should be able to get just as much information as they want about the school's budget. I believe this would go a long way to establishing a stronger working relationship between the council and the school committee. Open communication and transparency are key to building trust, which is crucial to an effective partnership between the 2 boards. I know the school committee has a lot on its plate right now with an ongoing search for a permanent superintendent and a district review coming this fall. I feel I have a lot to learn very quickly if I'm going to hit the ground running, but in this pivotal time in our district's history, I feel I am the right choice for this job. I'm an experienced citizen legislator who knows what it takes to be a good public servant. As a town council member, I successfully worked with a diverse group of people to set policy, review contracts, and work on local legislation. I have experience dealing with the municipal budgeting process. As a school committee member, I promise to diligently research all issues that come before the committee and make decisions based on empirical evidence, not emotions. I'm committed to working with all stakeholders and avoiding interpersonal politics. As public officials, we are sometimes called on to make controversial decisions, and I recognize that debate can become contentious at times. I believe one of the keys to being an effective public servant is building a good working relationship with each of your colleagues. If we come to disagreements from a place of mutual respect and understanding, we are able to bridge our differences and move forward. You can count on me to maintain a professional working relationship with each and every member of the town council and school committee, even in times of controversy. I also wanted to take the time to tell you how deeply I respect each and every one of you and all that you do for our town. I fully understand and respect the sacrifices you and your loved ones make in order for you to serve our community. We all have different opinions, beliefs, and viewpoints, but we are united in wanting to work toward the betterment of our town. Public service is hard work, and serving on one of these boards is oftentimes a thankless job, so please allow me to thank you for all that you do. I'm deeply passionate about Southbridge because this place is home to me in a way that no other place on earth ever could be. I fully recognize that this community and this district face many challenges, but I believe we have a great team of people in place, and working together, we can tackle whatever comes our way. I'm so proud to have served in this beautiful town we all call home, and I hope to continue serving. I have no greater aspiration than to live a life of service to our community. I appreciate your consideration for the appointment, and I thank you for your time. If anybody has any questions, I'll take them now.
Do we have any questions for Councilor Ms. Peliquin? Councilor Carrasco.
Welcome back, Amelia. The question I would have for you tonight is, I know this is just for a season till June. Will you be running officially?
Yes, actually, joining the school committee is something that I've really considered for some time. As you know, I didn't choose to run for re-election to the town council, and that's because I had been considering to switch sides, to move to the school committee. I didn't run for election this year because I chose to support candidates who were running in the race. And I know you had an appointment recently, and I chose to take my name out of that consideration because I felt that somebody else was more qualified. But joining the school committee is something I've thought about for a long time, and I want to do this for the year. I want to run for a seat for a 3-year term, and I see a lot of good work that can be done here, and I want to be a part of it for as long as I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Peliquin? Ms. Congdon.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Ms. Peliquin. A school committee member's primary responsibilities are policy, budget, and overseeing the superintendent. By following these, how do you feel that you can help improve student achievement and learning?
I feel like a lot of barriers to student achievement and learning have been a lot of the adult interpersonal turmoil that has happened recently over the last couple of years, and I hope that one of the things that I can bring in order to let our professionals do their jobs is political stability. I have experience serving in public, and I know what it takes to be somebody who can work with all stakeholders, and I feel like as somebody who's done it before, I feel like I can continue working with everybody at the table and providing a good policy bench. I have experience working on budgets. I know that I can do that. As far in terms of improving student achievement, I have to say I'm not an educational policy expert. I feel like I'm learning as much as I can on my feet. But I am a municipal government nerd, so I can tell you that on that side of things, I definitely am well-versed in open meeting law, ethics law. I have a good understanding of, I guess what I'm trying to say is, having been exposed to public service, I know it turns a lot of people off the political end of things in Southbridge, but I don't know. I'm willing to do the difficult things you need to do to be a public servant, even if it means dealing with people you don't like or being in the minority on a vote. I want it to be about the kids, and I think I'm good at staying out of interpersonal politics that gets in the way of it being about the kids.
Thank you.
Councilor Facchia.
Hi, Ms. Peliquin, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
To begin with, you were born and raised in Southbridge.
I am. I'm actually, my family goes back in Southbridge 4 generations. And I feel very proud of the fact that I'm from Southbridge. I think we have a beautiful community here. I think that there's a lot of great people here, and I choose to live my life here on purpose. This is where I want to be.
Well, I shouldn't say this, but your grandmother was my first babysitter, Charlotte Murphy. She lived across the street from me. You have 2 children, right?
Yes, I have 2 children. They're currently in their 3rd year with the district. They're having a great experience.
Okay, this is my question. Why are you choose to send them to Southbridge with school choice? You could have sent them anywhere. Why are they in the Southbridge district?
For a lot of reasons. First of all, my husband and I feel very strongly about public schools. We believe that the public school system is a vital resource for churning out productive American citizens, and we're both the product of public schools, and we really believe in the public school system. And as far as school choice, I think that definitely is something that people have asked us about a lot, but we really believe that we want to be part of the Southbridge community, and we want to work hard for Southbridge, and we don't want, I feel sending our kids away to a different school would make us less involved in our community, and being involved in the community is kind of what we're all about. So
You're vested in the community, and I like that. Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Olivo.
Do you, Ms. Pelican, what do you think is the most important issue facing Southbridge School District?
Well, I think that there's a couple of things you guys have on your plate that's really important. First of all is the search for a permanent superintendent. I think that's the biggest thing you have going on right now, because your superintendent is really the overseer of the school system. I mean, we can talk about how we have opinions about a lot of nuts and bolts about what's going on, but in the reality of serving on one of these boards, you have to trust your professionals, and you have to have a good professional running the team. So I would say that's the biggest thing. Another thing that I feel like we really need to focus on is improving the climate and discipline of our children. I feel like a lot of people say that the high school is not as under control as it should be. I don't have children in the high school, so I can't speak to that on a personal level, but I know that there's a lot of people who feel like there's a lot of work that needs to be done up there. So I think that those would be the two biggest priorities for me, at least, as a school committee member.
And as a school committee, this is for this year's term. At the end of this year's term, would you be considering running again? And what challenges do you see facing during your first tenure, or your first year tenure?
I think for the first year, my biggest challenge would be just learning all of the policy and rules and regulations of how the opposite side of our municipal government works. I feel like I had a good understanding of how to be a town councilor, and I know that being a school committee member is similar, but it's not exactly the same thing. So I know that there's a lot that I have to learn in that respect, but I feel like we need to focus on implementing the goals of the Accelerated Improvement Plan and working with the superintendent to do that. I would say that would be our biggest challenge. I know the district review is really big. I feel like I don't want to be the person driving policy necessarily on the board, because I would be the newest member. So I have to admit, a lot of what I'd be doing is trying to learn as much as I can from the other members of the board.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Just quickly for me, you referenced, you kind of answered part of my question already through Mr. Olivo's questioning as to weaknesses, but what do you view as the district's greatest strength right now?
I feel like we've come through a really challenging time politically, and right now I have to say the best strength we have right now is like we're in a position in which we're a really unified group of people running the show. And I have to say that that is our greatest strength right now. We have a really good team of people in place, both on the town council and the school committee side, and that's why I really think of this as like a pivotal time right now. I think that we're really poised to put the negative political climate behind us and move the district forward. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited to be applying for the open seat tonight. I feel like we've got a good team, we've got great people. I have experience working with a lot of these people, and there's a lot of other great people that I look forward to working with, and I just feel like it's a really great time to be getting involved.
Any other questions or comments for Ms. Pelican? Okay. Seeing none, thank you again for
Thank you very
coming.
much.
Mr. Martinek reached out to me and is unable to make it tonight due to a family emergency. So I thought it appropriate to, at least in the interest of transparency and disclosure, to just read his statement. At that point, after I read that, we'll just move on to Mr. Sanchez. I don't feel it's appropriate or an option to ask any questions or necessarily make any statements per se, since he is not here and didn't ask for any sort of delegate to speak on his behalf. So this is Mr. Martinek's letter of interest. When my wife and I moved to Southbridge in 2000, we had a newborn daughter, Grace. At the time that we moved in, we were told about the schools were experiencing problems, but not having to worry about sending our daughter and then our son, Jack, to school right away. We figured that by the time the choice came to send them to Southbridge High School, that our schools would be in a higher tier of educational excellence. We weren't worried about elementary or middle schools, as we had made the decision before we had children that we wanted them to experience a Catholic school education, and we were fortunate to live in Southbridge, where Trinity Catholic Academy helped us achieve that goal. Last year, however, when my daughter graduated from Trinity, we were presented with many choices: send her to Southbridge High School, invoke school choice, and send her to another area school, both options covered by our taxes, or send her to a private Catholic high school at an additional expense. While I'm not thrilled to be paying for a public school education that goes unused and a private school education, my belief is that after evaluating all of our choices, sending her to Holy Name High School was the best choice for her. I'm fortunate that I'm able to earn extra money to pay for that education. I view education as the most fundamental choice a parent can make in order to try and ensure that their children have the opportunities to do better than their parents did. In looking at Southbridge High School, we watched as a system that was in disarray seemingly got worse. That doesn't mean that some students don't excel at SHS. They do, but the atmosphere, the constant transition of key individuals, the scores that the school achieved, the disrespect among some students that think that they are in charge of the school, were not part of some social experiment that I wanted to make my daughter a part of. I've spent the last 13 years working in the human capital and talent management software arena as a sales consultant with Fortune 1000 companies. We provide software which includes tools for learning and development or education of employees. The approach to learning with adults is similar to that of young students. Find different modalities to help ensure that people who learn differently can compete as equally as possible with the high potential learners and level the playing field so that all people have the chance to excel. The latter is what I believe personally has played a large part of the problem with the educational system in Southbridge, but there are other problems that add to the mix. Lack of support of teachers by some parents and administrators, not enough emphasis on ensuring that disruptive students who have proven that they don't want to learn are no longer part of the system, no consistent enforcement of rules and regulations. If you have rules and regulations that are not enforced, there is no point in having them to begin with. And finally, an attitude that Southbridge schools at any level can't compete with the best schools in the state with a change in the approach of teaching, the support of teachers, the proper curriculum, and dropping the emphasis of why we can't to how we can. This last point is one that can be changed, but it will take time. It will take support of those in charge, and as a paradigm shift, it will take teachers, administrators, students, and parents alike to understand that we have to change the approach, or no change for the better can even transpire. Too much time and effort has been put into blaming others, past and present. While it is essential to know from the past what mistakes to avoid and what successes to emulate, we need to have a new focus on the here and now. What will it take to move Southbridge from an underperforming school district to an overperforming school district? While people worry about the effects of school choice on Southbridge, what they're missing out on is the simple fact that people that are part of the system that is excelling are not looking to go to other schools. When people with school-age children look to move to town, the performance of the school district is a key part of the decision. In 15 years, I saw little improvement. Rather, I saw the reputation of our schools move further down the scale. We have an opportunity as a town and as a school committee to make a difference, but those differences can't and won't occur if we're constantly living in the past. We need to have a vision of who we can find that are the best managers of the schools, a way to re-energize those teachers who have been made to feel as if the work they've done has gone unappreciated, and confirm to those students that truly desire an excellent education that they will receive it, and that those who don't, although entitled to an education, aren't guaranteed one if they don't play by the rules. I'm a believer that something as simple as a basic uniform, Dockers and a polo shirt, for example, which costs less than outfits being worn currently, help to take away the distractions from school and a certain amount of bullying that takes place. The students who want to learn know who is in charge. Those that don't understand that it's the faculty, and leveling the playing field in this manner helps to put the focus on what's being taught, not who's wearing what. It is my hope that Southbridge stops the system of selecting people who will go with the majority on everything. Having a voice in the middle allows for, or should allow for, passionate debate, a flow of ideas that are well thought out and allows for people to see and hear all sides of all issues. Votes should not be made in advance of hearing input, whether from school committee members or from the people of the town, no matter who the people are or what they have to say, with all parties staying within the guidelines. Transparency has been talked about much in this town. I sincerely hope that the school committee will take the first step in showing how a transparent body should and can operate. I graduated magna cum laude with a BSBA from Eastern Nazarene College, and I'm finishing up my master's in international business with a concentration on social media marketing from Southern New Hampshire University. Spring of 2016, on track for summa cum laude. I served on the Charter Review Committee in 2009. I belong to the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, the Northeast Human Resources Association, the Society for Human Resource Management, the National Society of Leadership and Success, Sigma Alpha Pi, and the International Honor Society in Business, Delta Mu Delta. Respectfully submitted, Dennis J. Martinek. Again, he was unable to make it due to a family emergency. And at this time, again, with the request for 5 minutes or less, we will invite Mr. Enrique Sanchez to come forward and express his candidacy.
Thank you for having me. I didn't bring anything to read, but you obviously got my letter. I'm a little nervous, sorry. So a little bit about myself. I've been living in Southbridge for about 3 years. I also lived there during college for about 2 years. So I graduated from the Worcester Public Schools and Holy Cross in Worcester. I'm a teacher in the Worcester Public Schools now. It's my 7th year teaching. So I'm here because I think that the school committee needs a teacher. I think it's really, really important to have that background. Why do I want to be in the school committee? Like I said before, I feel like that there needs to be more engagement of the community, a lot of more parent engagement, especially Latino parents. When I was working on the superintendent search committee and was surveying the parents. A lot of them felt that there's not a lot of Latino engagement. I think that's my #1 goal if selected to the school committee. So, like I said, I don't have anything written, so I'll take questions.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Sanchez? Mr. Olivo? This one.
I'll ask you the same question. What do you feel is the most important issue facing Southbridge the Southbridge School Committee?
I think student performance. I think that's a major issue. I think it's being addressed right now. I think we just got to keep going. It's not an overnight thing, but I think that's the biggest issue that we should work on.
What is your, or what have been your personal involvements with education within the surrounding areas? You say you worked in the Worcester School District,
yep.
and where did you work before that?
I worked in the Webster Public Schools for 5 to 5.5 years. Then I also ran a after-school program, which is a grant-funded program by the state. It's a 21st Century Community Learning Center, which provides low-income kids a place to go after school. I also serve on, I served on the, last time coming here was new to me, so I didn't have much to say, but I've served on building committees for the Webster Public Schools. I've served on principal search committee, the superintendent search committee, and I'm also doing that here in town too, so.
And have you done any other committees here in town?
What was that?
Have you served on any other committees here in town?
Other than the principal search and superintendent search, that's about it.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. I have Councilor Vecchia.
Good evening. Your education, I'm reading here in your application, you're also certified to be a superintendent of schools, it says?
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, I became certified as a superintendent in July of this year, so 2015. I submitted my paperwork to the state. Technically, you need 3 years of administrative experience, which I have as a program leader for the 21st Century program in Webster, and you also need 3 years of teaching, so which I do have. So I became certified July 2015. I'm not using that certification though.
Well, you're a very good candidate. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have Councilor Carrasco next, but just if you could lift the microphone a little bit so you could hear it a little better. Thank you.
Is that better?
I think so.
Yeah.
Find out.
Yeah, I just, welcome back, Mr. Sanchez. I want to ask the same question I asked Ms. Peliquin. Would you consider officially running, I know this is your second time submitting a letter, but would you officially run in June for our town election?
Yeah. If selected, actually, if not selected, I'm going to run either way, so.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Vecchia?
I just had a quick question, follow-up to that.
Yeah.
If you get the appointment, you'll run. If you don't get the appointment, will you still run?
Yes. Either way, I'm going to run.
Thank you.
No problem.
Ms. Congdon?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Sanchez. Same question I asked Ms. Peliquin. A school committee member's primary responsibilities are policy, budget, and overseeing the superintendent. By following these, how do you feel that you can help improve student achievement and learning in the district?
I think that working out of school provides me experience, and I'm in the outside looking in, but I know what it is like to run a district. I know what it's like to be in a classroom. So I feel wearing different hats, I feel like I could contribute to student improvement in the district. So.
What's that? One question I have, similar to what I asked Ms. Peliquin. What do you view as the district's greatest strength right now?
I think we have a lot of good teachers, a lot of teachers who have, I guess, survived the storm that probably, that shows a lot. When you're able to survive such a thing and, not look elsewhere for a job, that shows a lot from our teachers. I think our teachers are the biggest strength.
And only one other question I have for you is, what can you take from your experience in Webster and your experience now in Worcester, where, I'm not sure which building you're in, but certainly Worcester is known to have a number of its own issues that it's dealing with. But what can you take from those experiences that translates to this side of the school administration?
I think Webster, Worcester, and Southbridge share very similar demographics. I grew up with a mom who didn't have a high school education or a dad, so I know what it's like to be a student who doesn't have a lot, and I feel like that allows me to sort of advocate a little more for the students in the districts.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Sanchez? Okay. Seeing none, thank you as well for your time and your offer. So at this time, unless there are any other questions or comments, we would be going to vote. And when we were doing the voting, it would be you would cite one name of whichever candidate you feel is your choice, rather than making a motion on any particular candidates. So with that, roll call, please.
Councilor Krasko?
It's tough being first, huh? Oh, wow. Sanchez.
Councilor Clemens?
Peliquin.
Councilor Estrada?
Peliquin.
Councilor Manna?
Peliquin.
Councilor Moriarty?
Sanchez.
Councilor Steves?
Peliquin.
Councilor Vandal?
Peliquin.
Councilor Vecchia?
Peliquin.
Councilor Eau Claire?
Peliquin.
Mrs. Congdon?
Peliquin?
Mr. Jovan? Mr. Lazo?
Peliquin.
Mr. Olivo?
Mr. Sanchez.
Page? Mr. Page?
Ms. Peliquin.
And Mr. Bishop?
Mrs. Peliquin.
12 for Peliquin and 3 for Sanchez.
Okay, thank you. And congratulations to Amelia. I don't know if you wanted to come up to say anything or not. You don't have to, but it's up to you.
Just quickly, I'd like to thank you, everybody, for your support tonight. I look forward to working with all of you, whether or not you voted for me. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Sanchez for coming up here. I know this is really tough. Thank you very much for putting your name forward. I think we need a lot more people like you involved in the community, and it was really brave of you to do this, so thanks a lot. And that's it. I look forward to getting to work. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thanks.
And at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? It is unanimous.